Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Very sorry, very, very sorry for being slightly late. Unfortunately, these technical difficulties generally happen around in this um, interesting internet's worlds, as they say, as there are many of them. But today is going to be a special stream, which was unfortunately postponed. And today is the day that it's here. I'll be with Mr. Rob van der Loo from Epica. And the funny bit is that we had the chance to meet each other for the first time at 70,000 Tons of Metal, where we had the chance to actually share the stage and play together. Wow, it's very nice. I would like to introduce you, Mr. Rob. Here he is. Hi, Rob. How are you doing, buddy?
Good evening. Good to see you again.
Absolutely. And now from a very far distance.
Yeah.
Yeah. First we met and in a very far distance, and now we have finally met again, but from a far distance.
Exactly.
Right. So how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Hanging in there. It's I guess it's a weird time for everybody still, but yeah, can't really complain.
True that. True that. True that. It's been a tough time, I believe, for especially us musicians who have not been able to, get back on the road and do the things and this and that and whatnot. But how has 2020 treated you? How is 2020 treating you so far?
So far so good. Yeah, it's been a very quiet time, and at the same time, we've been doing a lot. Recently released our latest album, of course.
Congratulations on that.
Been on the road. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We're really pleased with all the response from the fans, from the press, of course, and it's been doing really well. It's been going very well. But yeah, right now we're just waiting for all the stuff to happen again. But it's the same for you. I guess it's the same for everybody.
Definitely. But yeah, I've been liking, especially me making the thumbnails. I remember the first when we were supposed to do the first chat. I really liked the artwork, and I really liked your website as well. Like that the whole shebang is just great looking, and the video looks great as well of the Skeleton Key. I mean, it's really nice looking video. Congrats on that too, because
thank you.
We would love to work with Grupa 13 one day as well.
Yeah, you should. They're very cool people. They're very relaxed, and yeah, we recorded a video for the song "Abyss of Time" and the Skeleton Key, and we did it in the same weekend.
Oh wow!
Same week, I should say.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Get the work done, finalize, move on. That is brilliant. That is brilliant.
Exactly.
Now tell us about like the whole shebang. What was supposed to be done in the Epica's world when you guys were like really excited about releasing the album, and before this whole thing were, we did not know what's going to happen. Of course, as at the level of this, career, the plans are made way before. Now, how much have they been affected, and how are you thinking to recover those?
They've been infected a lot. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
Because believe it or not, because a lot of people are saying right now, okay, now in a way you can take a year off. So yeah, that's true. But we already had a year sabbatical before we went into the studio to write and record the album. So
right.
Yeah, that was a little bit weird. So the funny thing is that we actually had a break in 2019. And after a while, we came together again, and because we all live pretty much from afar. A few of us live in Holland, but for instance, Isaac, he lives in Belgium. Simone, she lives in the southern part of Germany. Mark lives on Sicily, so it's not exactly that we can go and grab a cup of coffee each and every day.
Yeah.
So we came together also with the manager, and we were talking about the plans, and he was saying, okay, guys, if you want to pick up the touring again somewhere, let's say early 2020 or something, then you definitely need an album like 3 months before. You have to be able to record it like 6 months before that, and so on and so on. So he said,
exactly.
In other words, you still have 2 months to actually write an album and then go into the studio. And we didn't have a single idea.
Oh wow! Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting.
the only band member who already had some ideas for some songs was Mark, because he's always kind of working on stuff, also for mine and his other band.
Right.
And but we were actually on a quite tight schedule. So this time he also chose to not record any bonus stuff, because with
Right.
the last album, we recorded like 18 tracks, which was a lot.
Right.
We started with 25 tracks, and in the end, we recorded like 18 tracks.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So we had an album, and we also had an extra EP for that. This time we were like, okay, we're on such a tight schedule. We need to write the album within like 2 or 3 months before we
Right.
go into the studio, because that was actually right before we went to the cruise.
Right. Wow. You guys have
Yeah,
been busy. You guys
we
had
have
put your feet
been pretty
down.
busy. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. And when we came back from the cruise, because we had still like one show, I believe, in New York, and then we went home, and we went to the studio straight away.
Mhm.
And we recorded the whole rhythm section, and we went to Prague to
Right.
record the orchestra over there.
Right.
And right after the week after that, we recorded the choirs. I believe that was in Holland again, and then the whole thing went in lockdown.
Oh yeah.
The whole party was over. Yeah,
The
that's how
whole
it went.
party was
So
over before it even began. Jesus.
yeah, exactly. So
No,
in the end, even
yes, please.
yeah,
Go ahead. Go ahead. No, I was just going to say that
no problem.
you guys were definitely
Yeah.
inviting to the New York show as well, and I was like, well, it's we're just gonna fly back, so we definitely can't make
Mhm.
it. But like I remember there were a lot of people who were already like, damn, you guys are coming to New York, and like we should definitely hang out and so on. But Simone talked about it too, and I
Yeah.
was like, good invitation. I mean, if we were to know that this situation is happening, it would have been nice to at least see, you guys go there, like, have a good
Yeah.
show and so on. Because that was 70K was definitely from our end the last of the show of 2020, and definitely the last of the show of 2020.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I must say we're actually pretty close to that, because we only did the show in New York, and that was our final show before the whole stuff happened.
Right, definitely. So now we're gonna talk
Yeah.
about you. The fun bit about these chats is that I love to get to know the people who I've met, but really get to know them
Mhm.
more. So this chat is all gonna be
Mhm.
about getting to know you, your background. Of course, we got a great mutual friend with us, among us, and Mr. Ruud, who has been on the show as well. But that was the Twitch show, because I do Twitch streams as well. And so I would like to know, where did it all begin? Who is Rob? How did it happen? Like, where did you start? How did he pick up bass? Why did you pick up bass? What really happened?
That's a good question. Well, actually, I must say I come from a quite musical family. My parents were pretty much into music. My father, he used to be a drummer back in the 60s, 70s. He was a big Led Zeppelin fan.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, that's already a good start, to be honest.
Wow.
And so we were kind of raised with those kind of bands. My brother was also already playing a bit of guitar. And I remember when did I start playing music? I believe when I was like 8 years old. But then I
Right.
wasn't really that much into the guitar kind of stuff. So my parents were like, okay, you guys, you have to go and take some music classes, because it's good for your development. You know how it goes. And yeah, I started with saxophone, because I thought a saxophone looked pretty cool.
And it sounds great
Yeah.
as well.
Exactly, especially when you look back right now. But
Right.
to be honest, all the classes that I had, they were so dull. They were horrible. It's just the only thing that I learned from it was basically reading music, and that's about it. I didn't really learn how to make actual music,
Right.
and that really started to bore me. And when I passed 10 years, and I started to become a little bit of a juvenile rebel, started to listen more to the heavy stuff, and
Right.
that's how it kind of grew on to me. Sounds pretty familiar, I guess.
Right.
And
Exactly.
but I got in touch with the bass guitar actually thanks to our neighbors, because there was this family living in our street, and
Right.
one of the brothers, he had an electric guitar, and the oldest one, he actually had a bass guitar. I didn't back then. I didn't even know what a bass guitar was.
Right. Okay.
Like most people still don't know what a bass guitar actually is, but whatever.
True.
Yeah. Well, there
It's
you
the
go.
guy in the background just doing something.
Yeah, the second range is like the second range rhythm guitar player in the background. Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
but that's kind of where it all started. And remember, he had a bass and a huge PV stack standing over there, and I was, flabbergasted when I heard the first notes coming out of that huge guitar with those thick strings and
Right.
stuff.
Right. Right. Right.
And and I was like, okay, that's what I want as well. So that's when I started to pick up the bass, and from there on, it went pretty quickly. I can say before I knew it, I was already playing in bands, and things started to roll, doing shows. Yeah, and
What was the first band? Do you remember the name of the band, or did you make the band, or did you join the band?
yeah, that's the funny thing is that when I went to high school,
Right.
in the first was like in the first degree, I actually bumped into Roel van Helden, the drummer from Powerwolf, because we
Ah,
are
yeah. Hmm.
classmates.
Oh, wow. Okay. Nice.
Yeah, and he just also I believe he played drums for just maybe 2 years, but he already had like a huge drum kit that he shared with his brother because his brother is also a drummer.
Right.
And but he wanted to start a band, and they needed a bass player because obviously nobody wanted to play bass. Everybody wanted to drum or play guitar. So I can sacrifice myself for that, and that's how it started. That was
Right.
actually my first band,
Oh, wow.
and we really recorded this horrible demo, which maybe is I don't know if it's a collector's item these days on eBay. You never know,
But are
but
we
it's
able to get a hand on it? Like, are we able to get the access?
I don't know. Perhaps I believe there's still people out there who actually own one. So
Oh, wow. Okay.
yeah,
That's
just
great.
believe me, you don't want to hear that. That's horrible. But yeah, that's fun. That's how it all started for me.
Right. Okay. Well, that's pretty
Yeah.
interesting. That's pretty interesting. But what about in like Elston saxophone and bass? What are the other instruments that you were able to
Mhm.
belt somehow?
Yeah, I also, to be honest, I also played a bit of guitar. I also
Mhm.
did a little bit of keyboard here and there. I was just like kind of experimenting with everything. I also tried to drum a little bit,
Mhm.
but in the end, bass became my main instrument, and I
Right.
still stick to that these days. But I also, I mean, honestly, I would love to pick up the saxophone again someday.
Oh, wow. Maybe you should bring that into some of the
Yeah,
songs. Who
you
knows?
never know.
Who knows? Chad, by the way, I wanted to let you know that please you can ask questions as well. So I would randomly pick up a few questions and ask Rob about whatever you want to ask him, but please be respectful. Let's not ask him to start playing saxophone right now.
Well, the good thing is I don't have a saxophone anymore, so
Yeah, that's why I was saying let's not ask him to start playing the saxophone right now because I thought so you might not have it at the moment. But um, I remember you telling about like on the ship as well. We were discussing, and you did mention to me that you have written for Epica too, and that means you are a composer yourself also. And
yeah.
how does that process work for you actually? I mean, like, do you tend to compose on the bass, or do you tend to compose like, let's say, an idea comes to you? What is the whole process?
To be honest, I never really compose on the bass, but when I
Right.
started to compose songs, obviously I started on the bass, but after a while, it's just like it's just like an idea springs into mind. Um, Most of like 9 out of 10 songs that I write actually kind of spring to mind when I am in bed and I have this melody in my head and I'm start thinking about it. And I always have this like I made this agreement with myself, like, okay, if it's a really good idea, don't get out of bed, don't record it, just sleep a night over it, and if you still remember it the day afterwards, then you have a good song.
Interesting. Interesting. That's a good point. Actually, that is a good point. Yeah. I should actually try to do that as well because I just spit out ideas like this and then I record them.
Mhm.
And sometimes I'm just like, well, there's thousands of ideas, but you got a good point as well, right there. Like, if you can remember the melody in that sense, and then, you just, then that it is, that it is. Because one of the great composers who I've worked with said the same thing that if you can remember a melody, if you are creating it or somebody has created it, even after listening to it just a couple of times and you can wake up and still remember that melody, then that's a good song. That's like, go with that one. Go with that one. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
knowing about that, um, have you done anything like the way that Steve Harris does? That he really composes on the bass. Have you ever tried that just
Hmm.
for the heck of it? Like, okay, I'm gonna, make a full-on chord progression here and there and just make it into a song.
Yeah. I definitely did. But I mean, for a band like Epica, that's probably doesn't really gonna work.
Right.
Because from there, I really tend to start with, like with most metal bands, you start to write from a more like a riff kind of perspective. I tend to
Right.
write a little bit more from a melody kind of perspective. So I always start with a very small idea,
Hmm.
and I also have this, like, I know it sounds pretty cheesy, but this golden rule: if a song is good, then you should also be able to play it on an acoustic guitar with just one vocalist, and then it's okay.
Right. Right. Right.
Whatever.
Right.
But to be honest, in a lot of cases, it does work pretty well.
Right.
So I tend to start always, to start with just with a, I don't know, maybe with the piano, with the vocal idea, and from work from there.
Right. Right.
And sometimes, I mean, if it's really like riff-driven music that you're working on, yeah, sometimes
Correct.
it can work on a bass, absolutely. Because
Correct.
most of the, I mean, look at all the like real iconic Black Sabbath riffs, for instance. All of them are playable on one string, basically.
Absolutely. Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
I mean, that was Tony Iommi right there for you, and what Geezer did on it as well is like, man, at
yeah,
that time, I mean, like, those guys were had something else going on, like, if you know what I mean.
exactly.
So, I mean, they were completely on a different phase to be doing things around. Oh God.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so the different styles of writing music or like working around with music, I bet. But now,
Yeah, I mean, that's a big difference. These days we are all composing with a veggie smoothie on the side and stuff like that. That's so not
it's
rock and roll.
yeah, those old days are gone, right? Those old days are gone, where
Hmm.
you just go get down into the basement of you know, your grandma's house or something like that. Like, then you just start blasting and your neighbors are shouting, "Shut it down!" and that turns out to be the best song in the world, kind of a vibe. Like,
Hmm.
those days are gone. Now everybody's sitting on their computer like tiki 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 tiki.
Yeah, because what you're saying, that sounds so familiar. We actually did the same thing. I remember that one of my uncles, he used to own this. He was more like a hobby sound engineer, and he had a little PA, but he brought it to our home one time when my parents actually were on vacation, and we set up the whole PA in my bedroom, and we
Right.
also borrowed a drum kit from school, put it in there, put in all the amplifiers, and we were rehearsing in my bedroom, which was in the middle of this very quiet suburb somewhere in the middle of nowhere. But people were, once we started playing, we were almost blowing out the windows and stuff like that. That's
Right.
you don't see that happen anymore.
No. 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 No.
Just like you're
Unfortunately.
saying, I mean, everybody, you can write music with your iPhone if you want to.
Definitely. Definitely. I mean, I've composed. I like to
Hmm.
compose a lot of electronic stuff as well. So I for the heck of it, I've
Yeah.
tried that. I mean, one of the songs when my shoulder broke and I got it, when I got out of the surgery and I was on the hospital bed for 2 3 days. I just quickly made some stuff on my phone as well, just like with one hand sitting there, like, okay, because I was enjoying something, if you know what I mean, while resting, because it had to heal and I was in the hospital. And then they they give you something to
Yeah.
heal that takes you somewhere else as well sometimes. So I wanted to use that time to make something, but turned
Yeah.
out to be
Fair
all right.
enough.
But yeah, I mean, different ways of writing music in that sense. I've got a one question actually coming from Paula Desier, who asks that Mark has said in an interview that Epica are working in or on a streaming show. Could you give us some details about the preparations?
I actually believe that's inside information. I don't know anything about any announcement of stuff like that. So
So the weather was pretty good outside, I guess, today, right?
anyway,
Wasn't it? Like, anyways, like it
it
was
was, it
really,
was. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
exactly.
I have no idea what she's talking about. No
Yeah.
idea.
Wow,
No
wow,
idea.
interesting,
Oh,
interesting. But
yeah.
people are thanking you for
But
the,
thanks for the good idea.
yeah,
We'll
absolutely.
keep that in mind.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the,
Paula.
insight a little bit, Paula. Yes, absolutely.
Thanks, and thanks, Mark.
Hey. Mark always spills the tea. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
We're having a band meeting tomorrow, so
Yeah.
yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Exactly.
Somebody's
Like,
gonna
hi,
get
Mark. How are you doing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
spanky. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Do you want to tell us something, like Mark? Did you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's another question for
Perhaps
you.
he's gonna do a solo show.
Maybe that was the whole thing. Maybe, who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
There's another question that's for you. It was right here, Mr. How do you approach metal bass picking? Any suggestions on how to develop the technique?
Is there a specific? I didn't know there was a specific metal technique actually. I guess that my main way of playing is actually beating the crap out of the instrument. I'll be very honest. I use very heavy strings.
Right.
Action is pretty high, and
What picks are you using,
I
by the
always
way?
go for those are in tune picks, and I used to play with very thick picks, but I kind of switched back to a little bit thinner picks because the problem is always when you hit the string really hard and you're using really thick strings, thick picks. Personally, I don't really like the sound of it. I like the more snappier kind of sound that you get a real direct tone. So if you work with a little bit more thicker picks, like say 1 mm or like 0.73, for me that works the best actually.
Right. So you are sticking with 0.73.
Yeah, I prefer to work
All
with
right.
those.
Yeah, our bass player used to have those as well. Actually, he used to use the Dunlop Tortex.
Yeah,
0.73s as well.
To be honest, those are actually quite similar. I believe it's actually the same material, or at least they feel the same. And the good thing is also because they bend, they always have this like almost like a natural limiter on it. So you never have these intonation problems because you also know that if you hit the string really hard, it always will bend a little bit. So the pitch will go higher and it will be out of tune. And we also can use that with, especially with the music you make with Epica, for instance. It always has to be, it needs the right intonation. That's always a big hell when you go to the studio. But I found my tricks for it.
Now, revolving around this as well, some funny moments that happened with you and your bass on the stage. Shall we get to know some really Spinal Tap moments?
Spinal Tap moments regarding my bass. I have one moment. That was actually the first thing that springs to mind. That was actually walking open air, and I don't remember which year it was, but we were playing on the main stage pretty early. It was a kind of a weird slot, but whatever. Right. And the intro was running, and I did somehow. I am always this kind of I don't know if I'm a little bit, a little bit anxious or something, but I always need to test my bass right before I go on stage. And I didn't hear my bass on my in-ear. I could hear the whole intro running, but I couldn't hear my bass. So I went to my guitar techs, like, could you check if my belt pack is on? Maybe you accidentally switched it off or something like that. Right. Which was the case. So he switched it on, and I had like maybe like seconds to run back on stage and jump on the risers in the back. But as you know yourself, rock and open air is also known as Mudfest.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So the whole stage was filled with sand and mud and everything. And what I also didn't know is that the risers that were on stage weren't our own risers. So the ones they actually hired over there were a little bit higher than our normal risers. So I took a big leap and I jumped on the riser, and I sticked. You already feel what's going on. And I made this huge smack right on my bass during the first note of the first song. Whack! I fell on it. I still actually have a scar on my leg from it because it was a big smack.
Ouch!
Yeah.
You're never forgetting that one.
No, because what you could hear was like 1, 2, 3, 4, a bang, and it was also the pyro, but it was also my bass guitar. But if you see the video, because somebody actually filmed it, because we also bring this guy who always makes our after show movies and stuff like that, and he was actually filming on stage. He was sitting on side stage, and he could see it happening. He still has footage from that, and it happens like within a snap of a second. I was ready walking again, going back on stage. But the whole show was already totally fucked up for me.
Yeah, I can imagine. And especially like playing at Wacken Open Air, you didn't like it's not like that you get an opportunity like that just around the
Yeah,
corner. So things like that to happen there, it's like, ah
yeah.
man, really? I mean,
Right now, why?
yeah.
Yeah, and I was already a little bit, well, worried is a big word, but I was already thinking like, oh man, everybody is going to share this on internet, and this is going to go viral and everything. But the funny thing is that actually, I believe there were like maybe 2 people filming it,
Right.
and the only one who actually landed up on internet when you you can see me running, and at the moment that I'm actually falling, somebody puts on his hand like this right in front of me, so you can see me falling.
Oh, okay. Well,
So yeah,
that's all right. That's all right. That's good.
all
That's
right.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So the
Yeah,
good things do happen when the other things do happen as well. So that's always
yeah,
the best thing,
exactly.
right? Oh man, like yeah, that there are certain situations like that around. Now that was with your bass,
Hmm.
but what's the
Yeah.
most craziest situation that you can recall that has happened, like with the band, where things just went booyakash?
Oh, constantly. Where do I start? Um, especially if you go to South America. I mean, people are crazy over there. And but one thing that I really remember that one of the craziest moments was when I believe that was the first time I joined Epica in 2012, in
Right,
2012, and our first show together in Russia was, I believe it was in St. Petersburg.
right.
And I was surprised that actually people, because normally in the symphonic metal stuff, especially back then, people were just, listening, just standing there, maybe jumping around. That's about it. But there were completely circling pits and walls of death and stuff going on over there. I was like, guys, are you actually at the right venue right now? Because they were totally treating us like a deathcore band or something like that. So, and the
Epic.
funny thing is that at the end of the show, you could see this. There were a few kids on the front of, actually on the stage front, standing there, bleeding, holding their teeth. And they
Oh
were actually like
God.
almost like a trophy, like, look what just happened to me. And there was actually one, I believe there was this one kid who actually offered one of his teeth to Mark as more like a trophy, like, thank you so much. It was a great
Really?
show.
Oh
Yeah,
my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah, those like South Americans can go like they can go extra to an extra mile. Like
exactly. Yeah, but this was Russia. This was in St. Petersburg.
oh sorry. Yeah, yeah, right.
Yeah, but they
Even
were beating, they were beating the shit out of each other over there, and it was crazy. First, I was a little bit scared because it looked really, yeah, it was heavy, but in the end, it was such a fun show. They're totally
wow.
nuts.
What would you say is the biggest market of Epica?
Biggest mark. Ooh,
I'm not talking about like sales wise or let's say like,
no,
what do
no,
you
no.
think like going like to a show and always going like, "Oh my God." That is
Yeah, I have very fond memories of the time that we played at Olympia in Paris.
right.
And
Right.
that's because it's such a legendary venue, and it's not even the biggest venue that we ever played in Paris, but
Mhm.
there's something, there's a certain vibe over there. I mean, the most biggest French artists played over there. I mean, Led Zeppelin played over there. Even like the famous, there's this DVD from Black Sabbath during the Paranoid era that has been filmed over there. So you can really kind of feel the whole. It has such a big mojo,
Mhm. Mhm. So the
and
Paris is like stuck in your memory in that sense, Olympia.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Any backstage fun bits that we should know about like um Spinal Tap stuff that
Oh yeah, yeah,
because on
yeah.
stage we all
Mhm.
have the Spinal Tap moments, but the
Yeah,
backstage Spinal
absolutely.
Tap does not see the day of light most of the time.
No, but for instance, I actually, somebody asked me the same question 2 weeks ago, and one thing that actually came back to me, and that was actually was a pretty good one. That wasn't even with Epica. That was with one of my former bands called Suncage, which was more like a prog metal band.
Right.
And we played in. Have you ever played in the O13 in Tilburg?
Yes, one of my
Yeah,
favorite venues. Oh
well, there
yes,
you go. And
catering as well.
yeah, 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 yeah. It's a great venue. It's like
Yeah.
almost like a second home. And
Right. Right.
but actually, we played there when it was just opened, and that was, I guess that must have been like 11 or 12 years ago, something like that. So it's been a while.
Right.
And but the cool thing is that back in those days, it was a complete maze. They kind of, renovated the place, and it's already it's still a maze when you walk around there. If you're not familiar with it, you really have to look around to find your dressing room, the
True.
stages, etc., etc.
Right,
But it
right.
used to be worse. It used to be worse, believe me. Especially when they just
Wow.
opened up, there were no directions whatsoever, so you
Oh
just had to
man.
find your way.
Right.
And the funny thing is that we were playing in the small hall, and there was also a production going on the main stage, but I had no idea what was going on. But here it comes. I was walking around with our. He was a friend of ours, but he also joined us as a kind of a roadie, and we were looking for the stage. So
Right.
it was a big like Hello Cleveland situation. And there was actually a door that said stage, so it was like, oh, it must be over here, and it was during the changeover. So I opened the door, and I walked on stage, and I was like, okay, this it's very quiet over here, and there's a lot of light, and it's dark, and all of a sudden I realized I was standing on the main stage, and it was. Now was the funny part. It was during the guitar solo of Richie Blackmore, because Blackmore's Night was playing there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ouch.
And
Ouch.
it was
Okay.
and it was during one of those intimate moments where he was playing his guitar solo on his acoustic guitar.
Right.
So it was like it was silent. I walked on stage, and and I could suddenly see him, looking over his shoulder, really grumpy, look like, "What the hell are you doing over here?"
Oh
And I was
man.
freezing, like, "Oh, I'm at the wrong place.
Yeah.
Bye."
Why?
And
Oh
I also
man.
met him in the staircase after the show, and he really gave me the evil eye, man.
Yeah, yeah. That's Richie Blackmore right there for you. Right? Oh man.
Oh,
Yeah. I mean, things like that can be a little bit scary, especially. I mean, like if I would have seen Richie Blackmore, I mean, like he has been one of my favorite guitar players as well. I would have been
same here, same here.
I'm like, okay,
It
do I
was
need to
it was
drop dead at the moment or something? Like, what to do, what not to do?
it was a pretty intimidating moment. Absolutely,
I
yeah.
bet. You talked about the previous bands. I'm
Yeah.
interested to know the affiliation or the time that you had with Delane and after more as well. After Forever, sorry.
Oh, actually, After Forever, Mark used to play in After Forever.
Right, right,
Yeah, because before I joined Epica, I was also in Mayan, which is like Mark's second band.
right.
And to be honest, when Mayan just started playing, it was basically almost this Epica lineup,
Hmm.
minus Koen, with a whole bunch of different singers. Like Floor Jansen from Nightwish these days.
Yes.
With Simone was also on vocals there, Henning Basse, and Laura was also still in Mayan, and Mark. So it was like one big, almost Ethereum kind of club, but
Hmm.
kind of based on the current Epica lineup.
I see. Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting. Yeah, this was
yeah. So
something
it
that
was
has
so.
always confused me, like because
Yeah, I
I
can
talked with
understand.
Rude as well a little bit. And oh, by the way, yeah, Rude Yoli, we were talking about the guitar player of Within Temptation, by the way, our dear, lovely mutual friend. And yeah, when we talked about it, I always got so confused. I'm like, man, we think that Finland has a small circle.
Oh,
Holland
yeah,
even is even more smaller. It's like,
yeah. It's a crazy thing because almost everybody has played together in a band in the past or whatever, yeah,
right.
it's kind of comparable to all those British classic rock bands. Everybody has played in Uriah Heep or in Black Sabbath, or has been part
Exactly.
of a band like Rainbow, for instance. And that's a
Exactly.
quite similar situation over here.
Right, right. And I remember you guys were supposed to do Ronnie James Dio tribute
Right, right.
tribute tour, kind of like it was, I think so,
Yeah,
5 6 shows. I remember
yeah,
Rude was talking with me about it when he was in Finland. That was
yeah,
2019, I believe. Yes. And he was looking forward to it. I was very excited. I was like, damn, man, I'm gonna just fly over to check out a couple of shows. That would be nice. And
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was really looking forward to that because it was also with a very cool club, obviously with Ruud, but also with Menno. These days he's the guitar player from Focus.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
with let me see, with Steph Vox, he's drummer from Textures.
Right. Right.
And John Kuipers, yeah, people call him JC. He's also one of the singers in Arian,
I
and
see.
he's a great. And he's also the singer from Praying Mantis.
I see. I see. Heard the
Yeah,
name. Heard the name.
yeah,
Yes. But
and
haven't met the
that
guys.
yeah, it's a pretty cool
Exactly.
club. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, sad it didn't happen because I'm such a big Dio fan. I'm a huge fan of the Sabbath era, but also
Right.
Rainbow and all that kind of stuff. That's totally my thing.
Exactly, exactly. Well, I was introduced to Dio at the age of 4. Ever since then, it's been, you know, I give hats off to that guy for whatever I am today as musical wise. It's like, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
absolutely.
It's crazy. I mean, he has what he did till the end. It's just nuts.
Yeah,
There's no question about it. There's no question about it. Talking about
yeah.
my
I'm mostly,
influence, for instance, who has been
yeah.
your biggest influence?
Yeah. Ooh, my biggest influence. Well, the funny thing is, it's too much of a. I have such a big list of influences,
Let's say
obviously,
like
but
we're like in youth, like
yeah,
the band that you looked up to, or like let's say the one which was always the cassette that you always had, the first thing that you put in. You always go like, "Damn, guys, have you heard this?" Or "Did you check
yeah.
that guy out?"
Well, one of the biggest influences ever will always be John Paul Jones.
I see. I see.
Yeah, definitely. If you ask me, like, if I have to choose like two or three bass players, it will always be John Paul Jones. Geezer Butler will be in there,
Right.
and then I have to pick a third one from a big list of other bass players. But those two guys will always
Yeah.
be in there.
Right. Right. No, I totally can feel you. I mean, I have the same things with the vocalists and the guitar players as
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
particularly
yeah,
as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
It can be very difficult now, especially being in part of the music business, so to speak, being in the industry.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like there's no time to be influenced. Rather, it's like more like, man, you're awesome, dude, you're awesome. Like, what the hell, you're awesome too. Who is not awesome
Yeah.
around? Like, what's happening here? Like, I throw my guitars and equipment out. Like, I'm out of here. Like, especially in these days. Like, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
exactly. It's a weird time because back in those days, you clearly had like, okay, those are the big bands. They're all like pushed through the media. And these days, there is so much stuff going on the internet and in the underground scene. And there are so, I mean, I never really understand that whole saying like, oh, like the rock and roll's dead bullshit, because I totally don't believe that, because there's so much going on.
Exactly.
So much.
I
But but perhaps it's a little bit too much because people can't see it anymore.
Yeah, because it's just like becoming like fast food a little bit. It's just too
Exactly.
much out
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
It's just too much out there. It's not about the quality. I mean, I think there's a lot of quality stuff out there as well. But it's like when everybody is making the same cheeseburger out there and just, it's like then
Hmm.
you can just step by anywhere and just make it your home base kind of like place to go. It's very difficult nowadays. As well.
Exactly.
There's a question actually
Yeah,
about
yeah.
Skeleton Key. I'm sorry, I got distracted. Like, yeah, Skeleton Key was inspired by the movie Inception.
True.
All right, that's interesting. I didn't even know about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, but it was more like the mindset behind writing stuff. What I really liked about the sound, it was not necessarily inspired by the movie, but it was more
Right.
the soundtrack.
Oh yeah,
I'm also a really big fan of Hans Zimmer, and he has a few soundtracks on that for that movie that are so simple, but they build up from like a minimal idea to an ultimate climax and go back to nothing, basically. That's what I
exactly.
love about his music. And that's something that also we use for the new album. For instance, a song called Rivers, which is the ballad of the album, is kind of written with the same mindset. Start very minimalistic, build up to a climax, then go back again. That's it. And keep it very simple.
That's interesting because you're saying that because I experienced that when I heard the album 1 or 2 times. The second time, there were some parts I can't remember where, but I thought, wait a minute, that's Hans. That's Hans's idea, right there. And there's
Hmm.
that particular thing about Hans as well, that no matter who
Yeah, yeah,
does
yeah.
it, you just can't define it. Like, it's just Hans particularly. But I had no idea that the Skeleton Key was inspired that
Yeah,
way.
but yeah, exactly. Yeah, because the working title of that song used to be Inception.
Oh wow, there you go.
Yeah,
That's some
and
new
I believe
information for
because
me too.
I actually used that. I made this very simple chord progression. I actually also used it during the music theory classes at school, at the Metal Factory where Ruud also teaches.
Exactly.
And people were asking me like how do you make arrangements and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, well, kind of like this. So I came up with a simple chord progression, and I said, okay, well, you can put a melody on it, and I was like, that's how
Right.
it came. Okay, let's add some cellos, let's add some violins, let's add this, and bam, bam, bam. Build up the layers, and they were all like, oh, okay. And I was like, okay, this works pretty cool. I could use this for a song.
There you go. There you have it.
Yeah.
I mean, smallest and the simplest of the simplest ideas, and the next thing you know, can become into a song for sure. There's no question about
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
You did mention this is something that I wanted to talk with you about because you and Ruud are teaching at the Metal Factory in Holland. Now,
Yeah.
Ruud has explained that. And that's how, when Ruud was here, he was explaining as well. Yeah, of course, you're going to meet Rob and so on, that we teach together as well. So what's the story behind it? How did you come to do that? And what exactly do you do? Because most of the people who don't know here would like to know that too.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense because it sounds quite interesting to have a heavy metal school, obviously.
Right.
Well, the thing is that we have quite some pop academies over here in Holland, which are basically like conservatories, but more focused on modern pop music. But what they also found out is that there are always a lot of people who go to the schools and they really don't feel themselves really, blending in with the other people who are a little bit more into metal. And face it or not, I mean, you know it yourself. The metal scene is, on one hand, it's small, and on the other hand, it's huge. And you actually can become successful with it. It's not
Absolutely.
like fast money, no, absolutely not. But the thing is that, yeah, in the end, it's something that can be very, fruitful to actually work on it.
True.
So, so they were thinking like maybe it's like an idea to do something similar as the pop academies that we're working on right now, but then
Right.
totally based on the metal scene because most of those schools are also used as a medium to build up your network because most teachers that work on a school like that are session musicians themselves because they're all, I mean, they're not just teachers, there are people actually working as session musicians or playing in big bands or whatever, and they wanted to start something similar but then for the metal scene actually.
That is pretty epic.
And it's
That is
also yeah, that's really cool. And it's located in Dynamo, which is a very legendary venue in Eindhoven, where also have you ever heard of the Dynamo Festival back in the 90s?
not certain about it, I must say. Not certain
No.
about it. Right.
I must say that's like before we had Wacken, we had Dynamo or Dynamo or whatever you want to call it.
I see.
That was, yeah, that used to be like really the biggest metal festival in Europe, if not in the world.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Wow.
it was all actually it started in that venue.
I see. I
Yeah,
see. That's quite interesting. So that got a history right there.
yeah, it does. Yeah, and
And
also if
how
you ask a
how
lot
how
of
many
those,
years
especially
has
those.
it been? How many years has it been that you have been doing this?
Oh, this we started now. Ooh, let me think. Like 7 or 8 years ago,
Wow.
something like that. Yeah.
That's that's that's
Yeah.
some time in that has been spent. And how many students are at the moment currently? What is the right word? Registered, or what would be the case like?
Well, actually, it's more like a pre-bachelor degree that they get for it.
Right. Okay. All right.
We all have our own, words for it in a different country. So I don't know the exact way how to describe it, but it's actually mostly also meant for people who would like to go to, for instance, to go for a conservatory. If you
Mm-hmm.
start at a school like this, it's perfect.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, the question was how many students are enrolled? Like how many, what's the population of
Yeah, because
the students?
we each and every year we allow we had some restrictions last year because last year we were only allowed to enroll 15 students, but it's like we have like 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Each year has like 25 students.
Right. Wow.
So that would make it like 75 in total, but right now it's a little bit less because we had some restrictions from the government, but there's like every school has it right now, especially in music education.
For sure. For sure. And it's been tough times in that sense as well. Like, what about how is it going right now in Holland? I mean, have do you guys have a possibility of hanging out?
Yeah, yes and no. Officially, we're still in a kind of a lockdown-ish situation, but
Right.
I mean, they're already announcing like less strict measures, and I believe from next week we're already allowed to have like two people coming over to your place, and we're already allowed to go to sit outside of a bar, maybe, of course, with the distance and stuff like that.
Right.
But I mean, still, I mean, still, all the venues are closed. Only the supermarkets are open right now, or or like the pharmacies. And it's still it's somewhere in between right now. It's a bit of a weird
Mm,
situation, to be honest.
I
It's
can
almost like
understand that.
it's almost like the government doesn't know what they want themselves, actually. Because a good example, last week they were working on this event, like what they call a field lab, and that's supposed to be a festival where they would allow 10,000 people to go there,
Ten
and they would like,
thousand people. Oh wow.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly, yeah, and
Wow.
they want, I believe they wanted to do that next week. But there were also a lot of people, and the tickets were sold out like within 5 minutes.
Of course. I mean,
Because obviously
everybody's craving
everyone wants
for
to
it.
go.
Right.
Yeah, but afterwards, I mean, around the corner there is also a hospital, and they're all complaining about that they are, they don't have enough beds over there. The IC is full, stuff like that. And obviously, also like all the restaurants and bars are also complaining, like, why don't you guys, involve us so we can also make a living out of it?
Mm-hmm.
So after a while, people were still, signing this petition, and I believe they gathered like almost 400,000. No, no, I'm lying right now, but let's put it this way: they signed a petition, and a lot of people were complaining about it, so they canceled it.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh.
there
Right.
you go. There you have it.
Nice.
Welcome to
It's
Holland.
it's 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 yeah, but I think it's not just Holland as well. Like this
Yeah.
always happens to like particularly the music industry in that sense as well. This has been happening in Finland as well. Like when
Oh,
this year, for
Christ.
instance, the restaurants they could be closed and they still would have everything covered by the government basically. Like their
Yeah.
workers are still getting paid full on, no half cuts,
Okay.
nothing. There were some situations that I heard around. And I was like, yeah, we were the first ones to be chopped down. Off we go. Rivers down the water, whatever. Like, who are you? Your least important career based thing. That was actually a study as well. That was on the article. The least
Yeah.
important career. Like, thanks. Then stop listening to our music, right? like,
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
like,
Yes.
it's very hard. It's very hard. So, what is your routine? I mean, like, what do you do nowadays? I mean, it's hard to meet people as well. So, what's happening? What is
Yeah.
the
Well,
day in Rob's life?
the day Rob's. I mean, each day is different, of course. I must say, I'm still pretty happy that we still have the school going on, because I
Right.
work there like 2 days a week, and that still gives me a kind of a routine.
Right.
Because if I wouldn't have that, that would have been really weird.
Right.
And I'm still pretty happy that we still have a lot of things going on in the band behind the scenes that are
Definitely.
still going. Because I mean, you still have a company to run, obviously, and still we
Definitely.
have to make it. Yeah.
Exactly.
So there's still stuff going on. So I'm not really bored or anything. It's not that I'm sitting at home all day, but yeah, it's weird. I have to look at it each and every week. I
In
have
a
to. It's
certain.
actually, I don't know about you, but each and every day I wake up and I have to look at my agenda, like, what day is it? What date is it? What I'm going to do today?
Right.
It's a weird time. It's
No, man, I've been very lucky actually. For me, the thing has been I think I started streaming just a month or two in when the pandemic kind of like happened. Not really. I think 2, 3 months, let's say. I started to plan this thing. And I started streaming. Actually, that was the thing that it became my thing. I stream a lot on Twitch. So
Mhm.
I I made an excellent community. I have a very, very awesome community around. And that has helped me going. Like I just come to the studio Mondays, Wednesdays, actually nearly sometimes 5 days a week. So that keeps
Yeah.
me going. If that was
Good.
not the thing happening with me, I would have been counting literally the stars.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
that would have been the thing with me. So I'm really happy that this has been the thing. But of course, the income hit pretty bad. I mean, we are not on the road. I've lost a lot of
Mm.
shows. I mean, I just don't do only Winter Sun. I've got other things as well. So it's been a weird time. Never lived this
Yeah.
kind of a weirdness before. I mean, we have all lived weird lives. That's true, but I mean,
We live
this
with a weird life
life.
anyway.
Exactly. Absolutely. So, what are your hobbies, though? What do you love to do besides music?
I have quite some hobbies. As a lot of people know, I'm a big comic collector. I'm a huge fan of Hellboy, and I collect a lot of
Nice.
I collect a lot of statues and stuff like that, and original artwork, and you name it. So I'm pretty much a big nerd if it comes to stuff like that. And I'm a big
Damn.
movie fan. Yeah. And
Damn.
yeah,
Nice. We got to hook up, man. What the hell?
yeah.
That's what I've been
That's I
telling
think
Rude as well. Like, I need to get there so that we can, just. It's always with Rude as well. Yeah, the beers are on the way. The beers are on the way. We've been talking about it since a year because I think you and Rude have that in common as well. He's a big Star Wars guy.
yeah, exactly.
A big Star
Probably
Wars
even
guy.
worse than I am. Yeah.
He's crazy. He's
Yeah, he
crazy.
is.
Yeah. But
But I guess the same passion that he has for Star Wars, I have for Hellboy.
oh wow, that's crazy.
I mean, the funny thing is, I even have my own signature Hellboy bass. I don't know if you noticed that when we were playing on the cruise, I actually had it with me.
Oh, wow. I did not
Yeah.
notice that. I did not
Oh,
notice.
I mean, who's looking at the bass player anyway?
Oh, dang. Yeah. No, that
Damn,
was
yeah.
yeah. I did not notice that. Well, actually, that was a pretty epic day of its own
Yeah.
kind because we were up
Mhm.
till very late as we had the last show and we didn't have to do any more
Yeah.
shows like so it was just like,
Grab breakfast and go on.
yeah. Oh God, it was crazy. It was a good time, and of course, it was fun being on stage with you as well. We had a good vibe going on, but you guys did me
Yeah.
pretty good because nobody told me that you guys, changed the key to a half step up, like not down or anything. It was half step up. It was not the original key. It was even half step up, and I just went on the stage and I looked at all of you guys. Even I looked at Logan, and I was,
Yeah.
dude, what the
Yeah,
hell is
but the thing is, I actually believe that was Tony's choice because he was
right?
messing. He only brought one guitar. I don't know what tuning he uses, but he uses this weird
True
tuning.
that. Yeah.
That was the
Yeah.
reason why we had to change the tuning because I
Right.
was like, "Are you sure about that?"
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I have to do it because else I can't play. It's okay, whatever. That's
Because Tony told me right before stepping on the stage, like he was like, "By the way, are you fine if it is like half step up?" I'm like, "Yeah, whatever." Like I didn't listen to it till the
1, 2,
point,
3, 4.
Beach got it. I was like, "Dude, what the?" Like that's one of the reasons why
Yeah.
first few notes were like I was somewhere else. I was like, "What the hell?" Yeah. Well, it was fun
Yeah.
time. I did not notice about the bass though, but that's cool, man. You got that vibe going on. I love movies as well. I mean, if
Mm-hmm.
you would not probably know, but I do a lot of voice acting stuff as well. So my Twitch is full of it, basically. Not
Okay.
acting, but it just comes out, So I love to do all these
Yeah.
not geeky, but like I'm into more comedy. I'm full on comedy guy as well. So like my favorite character
right.
of all
Yeah.
times is Borat, for instance. So nothing beats that.
No, that's
Nothing
true.
beats
That's
that.
true.
Yeah. I mean, the sense of like the intelligent sense of humor that guy has, it's hard to put somewhere. It's like he has poked every single bear on this planet there's possibly existing. I think so.
Yeah, but what I also like, especially, I mean, there are a lot of people really can't handle this type of humor. But what I really love about a guy like Sacha Cohen, Baron Cohen, he's marking each and everybody, but also himself. Like,
Yes.
for instance, he's always pointing out to, for instance, like Jews, and I know that's a very sensitive subject, but he's
Mhm.
Jewish himself, so that's. I mean, wow.
Exactly. That gives him, the upper hand already there. That he becomes kind of untouchable because he's like, you talk about yourself, okay.
Exactly. Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
so he's like, yes, you can't get this. You can't get this.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. No, it's gonna be fun, man. When we're gonna catch up, it's gonna be, I think, it's gonna be a lot of fun in that department. I did not know about your Hellboy's craze. I mean, I've always loved the character, though. I mean, it's pretty awesome, and
Mhm.
I love the actor as well because I've been a big Sons of Anarchy fan. So you know,
Oh yeah,
him
yeah, yeah, yeah.
him being there, he was in Blade as well. So that's the other thing for me.
Yeah,
Not a
but and
big.
that's also a big connection because there's also Guillermo del Toro and a lot of the same crew. And
Hmm.
actually, also Mike Mignola, also he was, I believe he was also like a visual consultant for that movie as well. He made a lot of drawings. A lot of people that are
Oh
also
wow!
in the Hellboy comic crew also work for that movie,
Oh wow! Didn't know that.
especially from the visual department.
Oh, that's pretty
Yeah,
interesting. That's pretty interesting. What about
yeah.
what about the other side now? Um, Lord of the Rings or Star Wars? Which department you are presiding in?
Ooh, ooh. I mean, regarding my upbringing, it must be Star Wars, but I
Right,
really like a lot. I like both. It's really hard to make a choice. It's
right.
the same thing like the whole Beatles, Rolling Stones kind of stuff. I mean,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I get your
you know
point.
what I mean?
I mean,
Yeah.
I was a late boomer in that sense, or is that a right word or term? Like, guys, I'm not a geek around. Like, learn these new terminologies out of my community every time. Like, I go
Yeah.
around like, what does that mean? Then they explain it to me. So probably late boomer is the right word that I'm trying to uh,
I know
uh,
what you mean.
like project here. But I really watched for the first time the full-on Star Wars movies last year.
Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
because that was the only thing Rude said. Like for Rude, that's a big thing, right? So the only
I know.
drawback in our friendship was that. Wait a minute, you did not just say that, did you? I said no. I have not seen Star Wars at all. He was like, "Oh wow, okay, all right. Let's get another beer, then we'll talk." I was like, okay, well, this guy is really Star Wars geek in that sense. So yeah, I saw for the
Yeah.
first time Star Wars. So for me, it's been Lord of the Rings.
No,
Yeah,
I understand.
I mean, when compared to these two, of course, they're
Yeah. 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 But to be honest, from a story point of view, I would also prefer Lord of the Rings, especially if you look at the movies. But what I like about Star Wars is not necessarily the movies, but more like the spin-off stories. And
mm-hmm,
I'm referring to books and to comics and stuff like that.
mm-hmm.
Personally, I think those are more interesting than the movies themselves. Because I
Yeah,
remember also as a kid when I saw the like A New Hope, like the part 4/first movie the
right.
first time. I thought it was pretty dull. It was pretty boring.
I mean, for me, I do remember there were a couple of movies like okay, I watched them like because I worked really long hours and then I used to go home and then put on a single movie and so on. But sometimes it was so boring that I literally slept through a movie. And
I
I was
understand.
one of them was Han Solo. I was like I did sleep in like I was like oh, okay. For many people it was like
Yeah, but I
great, but
totally,
you know,
Mhm.
no.
But I totally understand. You really have to be in the vibe for it and be in the right mood to watch movies like that. That's same here. Same in like, for instance, when you're sitting in an airplane and watching certain movies. Sometimes
Mhm.
it's so hard to get through movies like that.
Right. Right, exactly.
I really have to sit at home, have my television on, have my stuff around me, and be able to focus on it 100% and
Correct.
be in the mood for it.
Correct. You were talking about airplanes. Now, an interesting question has come to is there any airplane ritual that you have when you're traveling?
Airplane ritual.
Like, for instance, it's a long flight. You guys are flying to, let's say, States, um,
Hmm.
or just long flights, anyways, 5, 6 hours minimum, let's say.
I mean, the States these days is compared to New Zealand, the States is peanuts.
Exactly. Exactly. Damn. Yeah.
I mean, once you ever have flown from Europe to New Zealand, everything is peanuts.
I 100% agree with you. 100%. 100%.
I remember. I remember the first time when we flew over to New Zealand. We like I remember we flew from, I believe, Amsterdam to Guangzhou in China. And we thought, oh, we're already like in southeast China. We're almost there. He said, no, you're on half right now. And we were already like traveling for 12 hours, I guess. And we had to wait there for 7 hours or something like that. So we were already pretty jet lagged. And then we still had to fly over the whole way to Auckland. And I believe it was like a 30-hour trip or something. That's still pretty luxurious.
Yeah, well.
Because I hear a lot of other people who have to wait at the airport or somewhere in China or Kuala Lumpur or whatever they have to wait for like 12 hours, if not days. So,
wow,
it's horrible.
Yeah, but any ritual, like for instance, that okay, it's a long flight, I'm gonna do something like, you know.
As long as I have my headphone with me, as long as I always put on these long socks, for the pressure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I know that sounds kind of weird. Like, what is he saying? Are you
right.
certain lingerie or whatever?
Yeah, right on.
Perhaps bring a book or something like that. Always pick
Right.
out the stuff that I really need, put it in my chair so I can sit down and relax.
Right.
But I don't have a very specific ritual. No.
Okay.
Do you?
But
Maybe I can learn something from this. Maybe I'm missing something.
It depends. I mean, it really depends. Of course, it depends on the certain flight, but
Yeah.
white wine.
White wine.
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't know. It's always been a thing for me. Wherever I've flown with the long trips, it's like white wine.
White wine. Exactly.
Please. No, it just is so fun. Like, I love to travel. Like, well, especially in this industry, if you don't love to travel, then something is wrong with you. Then you definitely are in the wrong industry, right? But
Yep.
like being on the airplane, that silence that you can get sometime, even by the presence of so many humans near you, there's certain silence that happens at the nighttime. Certain silence. I'm not
Right.
talking about that fucking kid who is screaming at the end. I have nothing against kids, but like that one.
Yeah.
Just, But else than that, it's like having the best part is us being musicians. We do get like in-ear monitors that we can actually freely cancel out everything out there and just enjoy our space. And then that wine and that relaxation, that's cool. Nobody coming to you
Or
like,
headphones with cancellation.
yeah, exactly. Or that. Like, nobody's coming to you like, okay, 15 minutes, are you guys ready? Or nobody coming to you like, okay, time to wake up, we have arrived, okay, load in. Like, yeah, I'm not loading it. You're the fucking crew. Why are you shouting at me?
Exactly.
So that's my ritual for the airplane, but it just came around that. Okay, last few questions before we call it a day. I first of all have to thank you, Rob. Thank you very much for doing this. I really, really appreciate it. And looking forward to the time that we're going to hang out and we're going to do something together. That's going to be fun. That's going to be definitely fun.
Yeah, man.
But sad to hear about, if you want to share that. Of course, there was a reason why the last one was postponed, particularly.
Yeah.
And I'm very sorry to hear about that as well. That was tough shit.
It happens. It was pretty shitty timing, of course, but yeah, it happens when the cats are 19 years old. Then that's quite an age, of course. But yeah, it went really wrong that day. That's that's when we had to put her down. So
I mean, I had to experience the same thing.
And exactly on the moment when we planned our little chit chat. So
yeah, it's
perfect timing. Right?
It's totally understandable. I mean, like it's just heartbreaking. I totally can understand you, because for me, I mean, like my girlfriend's family dog, we had to put him down last Wednesday. Not this week's, but like the week. Yeah, it was horrible because he and I became really, 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 really close friends in a way. And he was pretty old as well. Like for a dog's age, he was 15 and a half. So really pretty old gentleman in that sense. So I didn't know how to handle it. I could totally understand you even at that time and even afterwards as well. It's not an easy way to there's no easy way to
that doesn't
handle it.
matter how. No, exactly, and it also doesn't matter how old they are. If you have like a real bond with it, then
Yeah,
yeah, that's
exactly, exactly.
something something you can describe.
No, no, it's always the tough shit. It's just crazy. So I'm completely
Yeah,
an animal person, anyways. Like it's just, well, I am an
same here.
animal, and I am an animal person. So it works both ways, you know. It's just
Yeah,
easy for the
exactly,
people to, remember. Oh, that animal, the animal guy,
yeah, exactly.
the cable guy. Oh no.
Hmm.
Right. So the question that I have for you, my friend, is: are you a gamer? Do you like to play games?
I like to play games, but I must admit, even though I have quite some time off right now, I don't game that much right at the moment. I don't know what it is, but
Mm-hmm.
I do have certain games that I really like. Well, there you have. I really like those Star Wars games, like the Battlefront and stuff like that. I really dig it.
Oh, okay.
And games like Bloodborne, I'm a big fan of it, and Assassin's Creed stuff like that. But
Mm,
to be honest, lately I haven't been gaming that much. No,
right.
perhaps it's because I've been, working more on music and watching more movies every now and then, and perhaps a little
Sure.
bit more reading. You know,
Sure.
it kind of comes and goes. It's not that I'm not. I like to game. I have like a I have a PS3, 4, and a 5 coming up. But
Nice.
yeah, that's
Nice.
pretty, yeah, exactly.
PS5, I've been, yeah.
Yeah, but it's not that I'm really like a real true diehard addict or whatever.
Right. Right. No, I get it. I get it. I get it. But the reason I was asking was because, since I started doing the Twitch streams as well, that's where it all lifted off with me coming back to the gaming world because I used to
Right.
be a gamer as well. But due
Hmm.
to, I've been a big, big, big movie guy. There was a phase in my life where I had spent, I'm not going to kid with you, but at least I watched 4 movies a day. And that was like for a month or something.
Hmm.
That was like when you don't really have anything to do in your life else than playing music and nothing else particularly. That was my time. Played just
Yeah,
music and
yeah,
just watched movies. I really finished catalogs, like, IMDb's top blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, this goes out of the
yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, but if I have to choose between like movies or games, I'll definitely choose for movies.
Right, right, right. I get it.
Yeah,
But
because I remember I used to be a gamer when I was much younger. That was back in the Commodore 64 era
uh-huh,
when we used to
uh-huh.
work with a cassette and a floppy disk. You remember those?
Oh yes.
That's when my brother and I we used to game a lot. But then I guess when I started, playing in bands, I kind of gave up on that. And later on, that's the funny thing. If you want to know a big nerd fact,
Right.
I remember when my brother one day called me. That was back in the PS3 era. He said we both are big fans of the Ghostbusters movies or the whole franchise anyway.
I see.
And he said, dude, I mean, PS3 just released a Ghostbusters game, which was intended to be the original Ghostbusters 3 movie.
Oh
That's the
wow.
reason why I bought. That was actually the reason why I bought a PlayStation 3 because of that game.
Holy Oh wow. Wow. Okay. That's quite
I was
interesting.
like, okay, I have because it was also with the original actors. It was also with Harold Ramis, with Dan Aykroyd, even with Bill Murray, Ernie Hudson, the
Mm-hmm.
whole crew. Everybody was involved with that game, and it was really cool. And that was actually the reason why I picked up gaming again, just because of that specific game.
Wow. That's a story
Yeah,
now. That's a story.
yeah.
That's interesting. So particularly, I mean, like, of course, the movies have influenced you in that sense that, okay, wait a minute, if they can make you buy a PS just for that, then all
Mhm.
right. So now the same thing. Now, Hellboy is definitely your favorite of the favorites, right? There's no question about it. But what would
Right.
you say acting wise? Who's your favorite actor?
Oh, from the Hellboy movies or in
No,
general?
no, no, no. In general, in general.
In general.
Of course, it can be
Ooh.
difficult as well because if you're a movie guy, then it's like, oh well, this guy, that guy, this guy, or this actress or that
Yeah, but
actress. But
one right. But one actor who always springs into mind is definitely Jack Nicholson.
wow,
Yeah.
man of culture.
Yeah.
Nice,
Well, there you go.
nice,
Yeah.
nice,
Yeah, I really
nice.
like
I
Jack
don't hear
Nicholson.
that many people talking about that guy nowadays. I mean,
Mhm.
the, people are missing if they don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
They're
Yeah,
definitely missing if they don't know.
that's. I mean, if you look at all the old stuff from from Easy Rider to, of course, Shining. I mean, and also if you look at the Batman movie when he played the Joker, I mean, wow,
Correct.
that was such an easy role for him. It was the same thing as for instance Ron Perlman playing Hellboy. It was the same with Jack Nicholson playing the Joker. It's like easy peasy for him.
Piece of
Like
cake.
the role was written for. Yeah, yeah,
Right.
exactly.
No, I get it. I get it.
He's definitely one of my favorite actors. Yeah.
Wow. Have you ever thought about acting yourself as well, or have you done it?
I actually thought about it, and the funny thing is that a lot of people always say to me like, "Oh man, you belong in like a series like Vikings or stuff like that." And the funny thing is that I actually through actually they contacted me through Facebook to cast me for Vikings, but I couldn't go
Wow.
there because we were on tour.
Oh
Yeah,
man. That is shit. That would have been nice. That would have been
yeah, probably
actually
just a small
epic.
role, but they were like, yeah,
Still.
but they were all casting people, and but the thing is that also if you have to play in a series like that, then you have to move, I believe, to Dublin for at least 6 months or stuff like that, and
True.
moving somewhere for 6 months is not an option for me anyway.
Definitely. Definitely understandable. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly. No, I've always admired your beard, man. That's the other thing that I wanted to say out loud. It's like, god damn, you got one heck of a beard. What is the secret behind like keeping it in shape?
Just let it grow, man.
There you go, people. There
Yeah,
you
well,
go.
there you go.
All right.
That's the key
Okay.
answer. Yeah.
I tried,
That's the
but you
funny thing.
noticed like that was the longest ever I had the beard, which wasn't 70K. Like that because I
Okay,
had a
yeah, yeah,
full
yeah.
full grown beard at that time, and that's it. I've never had that before, and that was the first time, and now it's all gone. I clean shaved and people got scared, so I brought the same thing back. Like I was like even I got scared. I was like, huh, who's this?
Yeah, yeah. That would be really weird if I would cut it off right now and completely shave my face back to baby face mode. That'll probably scare me as well.
Would you do that?
Why would I do that?
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Well, perhaps
Okay.
trim it because the dumb thing is that I mean normally I wear it like in a tail or perhaps
Right.
braided, but I always kind of trim it on the side. But I trimmed a little bit too much, so I'm probably going to cut it a little bit and let it regrow. So
Right.
whatever,
Ah,
whatever.
cool, man. Cool. Well, once again, Rob, the final question comes to you. But before we hit that, I have to thank you again, and I have to thank everybody who has come to the chat and talked with us. Uh, oh, there is a question that I did not take off. Mr. or Miss Conti R has asked you, Rob, how was the present? How was it to be present on the recordings with the Prague Philharmonic? Must have been exciting.
Ooh, I have one word for that: goosebumps.
Wow, wow.
Yeah,
That would
yeah,
be that would
was
have been an
really amazing.
experience.
Yeah, because the thing is that we were discussing it because actually the whole band wanted to be there, but I mean we were also there were already kind of restrictions going on because of the whole COVID situation, and or actually it wasn't still there. It wasn't in Europe yet. It was like kind of coming over. People were already wearing face masks and everything, but people were already starting to panic a little bit. But it was also a little bit of a budget thing because everybody was in the studio. We were busy, blah blah blah. But it was like, first of all, Prague is one of my all-time favorite cities, and it's like a second home to me. And I know the city like on my thumb, and
Right.
that's the
It
reason to
used
go
to be
there.
my
But
favorite. It used to be my favorite city too,
okay,
but then it
what's
changed.
your favorite city now?
Budapest,
Oh, okay, yeah, well, fair enough.
architecture-wise, I mean the
Yeah,
cleanliness. If you want to see Prague of its essence in a beautiful form without all the tourists messing up the whole city,
yeah.
Budapest is the one.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely a beautiful city. That's something that what kind of bumps me about Prague is all the tourism actually. But if you go there, I mean, if you go out of the season, and then it's
Yeah,
perfect.
that's
Yeah,
beautiful,
that's.
brilliant. No doubt.
I remember when we went there, like if you went there like 10 years ago, it was completely different compared
Yeah,
to now.
yeah.
Fair enough. But there's also a lot of stuff which you can see like outside of the city, but you have
Correct.
to explore it. So
Yes. You got to
By the
know a
way,
little bit background.
talk a little bit about nerd stuff. Did you know that Hellboy was filmed in that city?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Have
Indeed.
you also been to the BPRD on the hillside?
Oh,
There's
that I
also
have
over there.
not. No, no, no.
No, there are a lot of cool locations over there. But
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah,
going
yeah.
back to the question
Right.
about, oh yeah, we were talking about an orchestra. That was it.
Indeed.
And the reason why I went is I had to witness it because it's such a big difference. I mean, these days we work with the most awesome plugins and software, which really works well, and I'm really happy with that. But nothing beats the real deal.
I agree with that. And
Yeah,
especially being there, like experiencing it, it's like can be a complete different experience.
and also those people, they are so skilled. Even when they, I mean, that's like they, for the people who are not familiar with this, how it works, it's like they don't rehearse it in front because they do this like 5 days a week from 9 to 5. This is 9 to 5 job for those people,
True.
and they just get the scores on the day itself, and they look, okay, let's do one rehearsal take, then do a second take, then the third one, and then we'll definitely nail it, and then move on to the other song or section.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when they like rehearsed the very first take, I believe that was actually from the opening track of the album, and our keyboard player Kun and I were sitting there, and they started playing, and we were all looking at each other like, oh, so that's how the song is supposed to sound.
Right.
Yeah,
Nice.
and that's because if I really have to describe for what makes it so special, suddenly it really comes alive. That's the
Right.
cool thing about it.
Yeah.
Even though, like I said, the software where we work with already sounds pretty cool. I mean, even the pre-production, this is like the best pre-produced album that we ever made. But once you go in the studio and record it with actual musicians, man, it's something really undescribable. It's like everything becomes organic, it becomes real.
Right. Right.
That's so cool, man. That's
Right.
really, really,
Yeah.
really so cool.
I had a chance because at the time I used to live with a horn player who used to play in orchestra as well. So he was my kind of like
Okay.
apartment mate. So I had the opportunity actually to, go to different, like couple of their rehearsals and so on. And
Yeah.
I always was in an awe. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
this is amazing. But then him, like, he was like, oh yeah, cool. Thank you for coming. Now I'm going for rehearsals. I mean, like, what the hell did you do now? He's like, no, no,
Yeah. Yeah.
my
Yeah.
own rehearsals. There he goes in a small room for 2-3 hours. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, damn, okay. Well, we live on a different basis when we talk about we are the musicians. Yeah. They
Mhm.
live, breathe, drink it like, 24/7.
Yeah.
So no wonder that they're able to just, read the music from the music sheet and done with it. I can't read
Yeah.
music, by the way, from the music sheet. I can't.
Okay.
Can you?
I can, but to be honest, also I never need it for bass guitar, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
But if I pick it up again and I train it again a little bit, then yeah, it's okay. But if, for instance, if I can read while the orchestra is playing and I have to score in front of my face, I can easily read it. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's nice. Yeah, for me, it would just be like, what? What alien stuff is going on around here? Of course, being a musician, you know how the things are eventually, but I would have
Yeah,
to
but
sit down there for hours to get things done.
yeah, but you also have to. I mean, you also have to train it. It's something that you can't
True.
learn from one to another, and you actually have to train it, and you also have to
Right.
maintain it if you want to be good at it. Because I also remember, I mean, not with this album, but the album before that, which is called the Holographic Principle. We were also recording in the studio, but then we were recording the orchestra in sections. You know, like just a separate string section, and then we double that to make it sound like a complete orchestra.
Right.
And there were also other band members sitting there who aren't trained with reading scores, which is fine. I mean that's I mean it's not that it's really like something you really have to do, but it was like I saw somebody reading like He said no, it's that page, that line over there.
Right.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I get it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that one.
Or, or,
Yes.
or like take the page and go like no, it's like this.
Jesus. I would not be able to do it. Now,
No.
coming to the final question of the evening, and what I would like to tell you a little bit of the background of that question is basically my community has become. It started off from the first guest that has come to Twitch, right? So it used to be that I used to do the same things that I'm doing nowadays on YouTube, like with the guest talks. I used to do that on the Twitch. And now I brought from
Mhm.
Twitch, I've brought it to YouTube. So, but the community remains the same. So, as now we are talking from the Discord server as well. So, there is a very interesting thing that started to happen from the first guest as well. I really don't remember how it happened, but it has something to do with food, right?
Ah, okay.
And
Interesting.
the question is regarding which is it's either or, right? So it has to do with
Mm.
pineapple,
Oh my God.
right? And then it has to do with pizza.
Oh God.
So is it a yes or is it a no?
No.
Yes, 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 yes. I knew it. He's gonna be my man as well. Yes, yes, yes.
That's uh, that's a big no, man.
Man, we gotta get along so well. You have no idea.
Oh,
Definitely. That's cool, man. Oh my god. So yeah, that has become a thing. So it's either or. But yeah, no after show foods with the pineapple pizza. No fucking way, man.
oh, awful, man.
No,
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 no, no, no, no way.
no. Been there, done that. So I'm
Mhm.
glad that the things are like that because some of my moderators are very adamant about having that thing on their pizza. So I mean, by itself,
We
it's all
might as
right,
well put
right?
chocolate. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I like to eat pineapple itself, but you might as well put marshmallows and chocolate on it. I don't know. It's
yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, why you want to do that? Why? I mean,
it doesn't make sense.
it's like same way. Why do you want to put bass strings on your guitar? I mean,
Right.
there is a thing called bass guitar. Put the strings there and
Mhm.
use it. Like, why do you want to put the bass strings on your
Play,
guitar? No.
yeah, because you play in a jam band or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting,
We're getting
but
old, man. We're getting old.
oh man, there is a good possibility of that indeed. But Rob, I thank you
Yeah.
so very much, man. You were super kind. You were super kind to remind me about that because I talked with you already, I think, a long time back. And then you wrote me and reminded me, hey, what about that Twitch thing?
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, yeah, yeah, it's getting there.
Yeah.
Right. So nice of you to
No,
have
no problem.
written to me. And we'll stay in touch and hope
Absolutely.
that, when the gates open, um, we definitely going to catch up. You're more than welcome, of course, anytime you come to Finland. Obviously, you'll let me
Oh, I
know.
would love to
There's no
come on.
question about it. So we're gonna
Sure. Yeah,
hang
yeah,
out.
yeah. Absolutely.
And thank you everybody for coming to the stream as well and checking it out. And definitely leave some comments down below if you enjoyed something. For me personally, let me know how I can improve my channel or the live chats as well. Because hey, at the end of the day, I love to be on the stage, right? This is the thing I'm doing as well for the love of getting, you know, the people to know each other and to gather some good community and to keep the things positive as much as possible. So now I'll be heading over to Twitch because today I'm going to do some interesting stuff afterwards. Like I'll do a Twitch stream as well. So people who are interested, they could definitely come to my Twitch channel. And there might be something in the future, Rob, that I would like to for you to be part of. It might have to do something with not exposing too much. We'll talk about it. I let the people ponder on it, what it could be, but we'll see. We'll see. And there might be something. Just saying. Maybe we should not expose that, but might be something that we might be doing.
Could
Yeah,
be
could be. Could
like a
be.
live stream.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That we have never done before. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. All right, Rob, thank you once again. I am slowly and gradually going to call this stream off. You guys take care. Have a great evening. And see you guys in about half an hour on Twitch. I'll be there. So take care of yourself. Have a good night. And sleep tight. Wake up tight. Or wake up tight. Or
Whatever.